All right, and we are live. What's going on, everybody? So as we said last night, and as I said last night, there's some things I cannot talk about on TikTok Live. It's just a common rule here that I think we're all aware of, that no matter what, there's a lot of things that if I talk about it over there, I'm going to get banned. I'm going to lose my page. And there's a lot of things I want to talk about with you guys. So today we're going to be diving into the transgender conversation that's going on here in America. So I've got a video queued up. And I follow a lot of people that have shows on YouTube like I do, talking about political things, and you might never hear me talking about that on TikTok. But the reason, as I said, is because I understand that over there it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to talk about these things because you can lose your platform. So I'm happy to be here so we can do it. So I found this video that is I don't know if you guys have ever seen these, but there's certain groups that will pull together people and have a conversation with them. And this one was a group of conservatives and transgenders sitting down. Now, I find just the title of the video to be a bit misleading. You see, what it really is biological women having discussions with transgender women, but they don't want to say that because they can't say transgenders and women having a conversation. That would be the blasphemy of the current day truth, right? The unforgivable sin is to be a hateful Christian, a bigot. All right. So let's dive into it. Guys, I see you in the comment section. Let me know if you can't hear it. So this is a 40-minute video. We're going to skim through it a little bit, but let's just start it off and see what we see. Now, by the way, I've only seen parts of this, so there's going to be things in here I haven't seen.
You're a white person, and I said I want to transition into a Black person. And I'm redefining what Blackness is to fit what I view it as, right? Would you consider that appropriation?
I consider that dodging, and I consider that comparing apples to oranges because race and gender identity are two separate different things.
Let me go ahead and stop now right away. Can I make my screen a little bit bigger? I can. There we go. Can y'all hear that? Please let me know in the comment section if you could hear that video I was playing. This question makes all the sense in the world. If it's appropriating to say I identify as Black, then how can you identify as a woman? But this person said it was dodging. This person said it's not the same. You know what? I would argue you're right. They are not the same. They are very different because based on color, we're still equal. A Black man and a white man are the same. We both have the same chromosomes. We have testosterone. We have the same bodies. But as far as being a woman and a man, there's a vast difference. There's a vast difference. So you're right. I would also agree that equating race and gender are very different, but I would say that goes against what you're proving. Gender is by far more unequal. There's more inequality in the difference of genders. There's no difference in race. You're right. We're just different pigments, different levels of pigment in your skin. But let's continue to see what this person is saying. Like I said, it's a long video, so we're going to skim through it. The middle ground. All right. So stop. Trans women versus conservative women. This is bothering me. What? Wait a minute. It's because they can't define women. So they have to put a title for the conservative women. They can't say trans versus women. They have to put a title. Let's
step forward if you agree. The transgender movement is indoctrinating our youth.
So if you're not familiar with the way this works, is they'll say something and then people that want to add their input walk up and talk about it. So before we let them walk up, let me go ahead and jump in here. The transgender movement is indoctrinating our youth. I don't care what people think about that. You see, here's the difference. They'll say, oh, we should be allowed to talk about these things in school. That's not what's happening in the schools. They're not just talking about these things. They're presenting it saying this is 100% truth. And if your parents disagree with this, then they're wrong. They're not presenting it as in this world, there's a lot of things that people say. If the schools were just saying some people believe this and some people believe this and they left it alone, I'm not mad at that. I don't know about you guys. If you're a fellow parent, are you mad at that? I'm not mad at that. Whatever. It is real life that these people exist. No one's saying they don't exist. The problem is when the school is saying your parents are wrong. This is what's right. And if your parents tell you anything different, they're bigots. Let's see the response here. I'm interested.
We are seeing, especially on social media, on TikTok, you're seeing a lot of people in this community really just targeting children. And you're seeing drag shows, even in conservative states like Texas, and even just media, movies. Like, it seems like everything seems to be targeted at these kids. You have drag story hour for kids, and it's just really, I think, predatory in a way. And I'm not saying every trans.
She is absolutely correct. She is absolutely correct, because as I said, it's not just saying this thing exists or this is a topic. It's being pushed saying this is right, and if you disagree, you're wrong. It's not being pushed as two alternating ideas or 2 points of a discussion. It's being presented as this is the truth. And if you disagree with it, you're wrong. And we have to get rid of you because your way of thinking is archaic, which is ironic because they'll look at Christians and say that we indoctrinate kids, but then they want to do the same thing, right? We want to teach our kids our values, and that's wrong, but they want to teach kids their values, and that's right. Pay attention to the hypocrisy in this movement. Pay attention to, man, I can say things I haven't been able to say in the past. I just remembered that. Let me make this very clear. I'm a firm believer that the entire transgender movement actually contradicts the entire LGBT. The T in there contradicts it all. You see, L and G only exist because of a binary, right? What do they say about if you're a lesbian? It's because you're a woman who likes women, right? You like the same gender. If you're a man who likes men, same gender. Then there's bisexual, LGB, the B. Bi, meaning there's two, and you go between the two. And then here comes T coming in like, no. None of that matters. None of that is real. Both can't be true. The LG and the B cannot exist with the T because they contradict each other. And that's why there's a lot of people that support the LGBT movement that are still going to be like, yeah, but that stuff's crazy. And they say that. Let's see where this goes. I'm going to start skipping through it a little bit.
This person is doing this, but as a whole, there does seem to be a route that they're taking to get to the kids.
When you hear Blue's Clues playing in the next room.
Babies, right?
I want to hear
People
an
who are
opposition.
being
These are
born-
all agreement.
Over
I wanna
here
hear the
is-
opposition. Here we
They
go.
transitioned as a child,
Let's see what
and
the
now
opposition is
they
saying.
amputated off healthy body parts and are miserable.
All right. Can the disagreeer step forward?
So now the disagreeers are going to come forward. Let's hear.
The fact that the trans movement has got people shook has me so excited. The trans movement is
Pause. You hear that? The fact that the trans movement has people in fear and going crazy gets them excited. Think about that. That's what they want. Let me give you guys a little a piece of advice from my opinion. In today's age, when social media is so prevalent and anyone could be placed in front of other people, I firmly believe what people really are driving for is everybody wants to be an outlier. Everybody wants to be an outlier. Everybody wants to be a Dr. Martin Luther King. That's why so many people want to protest anything. There's people out here that will protest anything. They are career protesters. There are people that get paid to be protesters. There are people that are looking for something to protest. Like, oh, did you say they're gathering over in Kentucky? All right, I'm coming. You said they're over in Chicago gathering. Here I come. There's people that want to stand on the winning side to the point where they're looking for something to stand against. We live in the age of victimhood where everybody wants to be a victim. Everybody wants to be my side, your side, your side. And look what this person just said. Let's let them talk. I'm a firm believer in people will let you know who they are. Let them speak.
not indoctrinating our youth. Our youth are understanding who they are at a younger age. And from what I was hearing over here is a lot of what y'all were saying, I wonder would you say it to the parents?
Yeah, I would say it to the parents. And guys, to protect myself from any copyright, that's why I'm also pausing it a lot. I have to pause it. Yeah, I would say it to the parents. This is this weird idea of this new thing with parents nowadays, that these parents are dealing with these children that are confused. And how dare you tell these parents that their children's feelings aren't valid? Well, no, I firmly believe you handle this with your kids the same way you should handle it if my son came to me and said, I'm Batman, Dad. If I said, hey, kids, get ready for dinner, wash your hands, and he walked downstairs with a cape and a Batman mask on, and he said, I'm Batman, I would say, oh, that's cute, bud. Let's get ready for dinner. But Dad, I'm Batman. No, you're not. Go get ready for dinner. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, cool. Same thing if my son says he's a dog one day. My son has been a dog, has been a T-Rex. He's been Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. I mean, kids, you can't drink before 21. You can't operate a motor vehicle before the age of 16 to 18, depending on the state. You can't join the military before 18. You cannot get a tattoo before 18. You cannot, I mean, the list goes on of things. You can't vote. But yet these parents out here are saying my 12-year-old who can't even decide his own bedtime can tell me what gender he is. I'm not frozen. This is me letting you, I want you to think on that. Think about that. Your kid can't even choose his own bedtime. You're going to let him choose his genitalia? And then these parents, in order to be friendly with them, will let them make life-changing things. And here's the real truth of it. A lot of these parents are living vicariously through their children because they want to stand out as that outlier, that different person. They want to stand out saying, look at me with my kids. And here's the real truth of the matter. Your kids recognize attention, and that's what they want. If little Johnny notices every time he acts like his sister, you treat him differently, he's going to keep acting like his sister because he just wants your attention, because you're always on TikTok and Facebook and you never even pay attention to your kids. But then one day he walked in the room with high heels on and you were like, oh, hey, buddy, oh, that's so cute. And you put the phone down, and now he recognizes that mommy and daddy pay attention to me more when I do this. Here's a piece of advice for you parents. Put your phone down and pay attention to your kid regardless what they do. Let's see what this person says.
Because we need to really look at what the parents of trans youth really go through. Trans youth, instead of them enjoying their life, playing with their friends, they're up in legislation trying to fight for basic rights here.
I got to stop him. 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 What basic rights are trans youth fighting for? Please explain it to me. Because basic rights are always to protect. They're not to enforce things. They're not to change things like that allow you to cut off body parts. That's not basic rights. You don't have a basic right at under 18 to join the military. You don't have a basic right to get a tattoo. You can't permanently mark ink on your skin under 18. But you can get a double mastectomy and have your breasts removed at 15. Oh, it feels good being able to talk freely on YouTube, guys. I'm glad we're here. Let's start bringing people over here, by the way. If you're new, let me go ahead and stop and ask you, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell button, because I guess that's how you get notified. Thank you guys for being here. I hope the quality's good. Things will get better as we continue to grow. But think about that. Let's just let this person continue to speak, because I want to see where it's going.
1 in 5 transgender youth have tried to commit suicide.
I know I keep stopping things. Can I stop and talk about this one? I hear people talk about this thing right here as evidence for why transgenderism is real, right? Of why transgenderism is a real thing. They always point to the high level of suicide rate. Can we talk about that for a second? If you do the research on those studies, that suicide rate does not change based on how many people accept them or reject them. It does not change based on if they came out or not. It doesn't even change based on if their family accepts them. It stays at 40% no matter what. The black slaves of the 1700s and the 1800s did not have a suicide rate that high. Are you telling me transgenders face more oppression than black slaves? The Jews of the Holocaust did not have a suicide rate that high. Are you telling me that the Jews in the Holocaust weren't as oppressed as the current day transgenders? The truth of the matter is this: you're right. They do have a high level of suicide rate, and that's because they're dealing with an identity crisis. And instead of coming to them with the proper help, you comfort them in it. That's like if my uncle said, Mike, I'm a toaster. And I said, yes, you are, Uncle Mike. You are a toaster. The suicide rate doesn't make it valid. It doesn't. It means there's serious issues. And why is it, as the world has become more accepting for transgenders, that the suicide rate's not changing? Go look at the numbers. In fact, Bill Maher. So we're going to react to that video later, actually. I'm going to download it and pull it off because I don't like Bill Maher. He's an atheist that hates God. But even he speaks truth sometimes, right? Because anybody can be right twice a day. Broken clock is. And he had a video recently talking about how at the rate that we're going, the whole country is finna be gay by 2050, because every year it's doubling. And the way it's being indoctrinated and it's being pushed, So think about this for a second. If we live in an age where right now transgender, like being a transgender today is like being a hero. Let's just be very honest. In mainstream media, it's like, oh my goodness, you're so brave. Why is the suicide rate not declining? Why is it staying consistent? Because it has nothing to do with rejection and everything to do with what's going on internally. And that's why they keep inventing new genders, because someone sees this transgender thing and they're like, oh, that'll make me feel better. So they go to it and they're like, I don't feel better. Well, you know what? I'm a wolf gender. I'm a dog gender. I'm a trigender. I'm a multi-gender. They keep digging deeper. Like, I need to find something for value. I need to find something that tells me I belong. I need to find something that gives me identity. But the answer is the only identity that exists is in Christ Jesus. Y'all thought this was going to be political only. We keep it centered on Jesus. That's why it says true Christian. Until we identify the fact that our identity is in Christ, people will continuously dig deep looking for identity somewhere else, and they find it in vain things. Let's hear, though, what this person is saying.
Why are we trying to police them?
But you're bringing it only to the parents. The question was indoctrination in general. Am I
Let me
in general.
skip through to the next
Things
question.
are going to happen. Either
I will be homeschooling my kids because I do believe it is my responsibility to protect them and shield them from the outside world, which is targeting children.
So let me just say this. I do love these conversations, and I should preface this. I respect everyone for having the willingness to sit down and have these conversations and to show respect to each other. And I love the people that are standing on their values. I just want to make that very clear. I love that. And these I love these videos online because these videos show people being willing to try and find a middle ground. Now, I will say this, though, whenever you watch debates like this, pay attention because the person that's making it has the right to edit it how they want to edit it. That's important to note. But I love these conversations. I just wanted to say that real quick. I respect this woman for what she said. She said, I'm going to homeschool because I know what they're doing, and I'm going to take that responsibility as a parent to do what I have to do. Now, the only reason we're not homeschooling is because we're in Texas, and Texas has done a really good job at keeping our schools pretty safe. At my son's school, there's signs on the wall about Bible studies in a public school. Another side note here real quick. My wife has been in education for several years, and she actually taught me something I didn't know. Did you know there's a day of the year called Religious Freedom Day? And on that day, you can actually openly talk about Jesus in school. Teachers can do things like that in school. It's a day that allows that. And here's the irony. It's on the same day as Dr. Martin Luther King Day. So we're actually never in school on the one day that Jesus is allowed to be proclaimed in school. Don't believe me? Go look it up. Think about that. Let's go back. Let's get back to it.
the trans community and the trans movement is really shaking the course of what people think gender identity is supposed to be.
So in one sentence, you're saying that you guys are not responsible for the indoctrination that's currently happening with
Absolutely
children.
not.
And in the second sentence, you are saying we are shook by the fact that you are responsible for
Get her.
No, you are shook.
Exactly. Stop. This person is sitting here this person started this entire conversation saying how excited they are that it's shaking up everything. And then in the same breath wants to be like, but we're not responsible for anything. We're not doing anything. We're not indoctrinating anyone. We're not leading anyone to anything. Listen to them. Remember what I said earlier. If people will always show you who they really are, let them speak. Let them talk. Yeah, they're the same day, Misty. If you check it out, do some research, you'll realize that that's pretty ironic. Don't get me wrong. I love Martin Luther King's Day. I'm just saying, it overshadows Religious Freedom Day.
That the fact that the trans movement has become what it is.
a movement that influences people
Powerful-
all over the world, and particularly children. And we see it in the fact that the number of young people identifying as transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, genderqueer is skyrocketing, which
Let me interject here because if you haven't watched the What is a Woman documentary from Matt Walsh, it's actually an extremely educational video because it opens up some really important things to discuss. And here's one thing I want to point out. This entire movement is a social contagion. If you're not familiar with a social contagion is, right? So what's the word contagion? So the flu is a contagion, right? It spreads. People get it just from touching something, right? That's what a contagion is. Well, a social contagion is when something is spread via the social outlets. The transgender movement exists heavily on social media, and it attracts people that don't have a value. As we mentioned earlier, these kids are getting bullied at school because they're different. These kids are looked at because they're different. So then they come to this group online and they say, this group loves everybody. This group is welcoming to everyone. I want to be a part of that group. They seek it because they're seeking identity. This is why it's important to ingrain our identity in Christ to people. The Matt Walsh documentary is on the Daily Wire's website. Shout out to the Daily Wire. I love the Daily Wire. I disagree with, Ben Shapiro's religious views, but I love the fact that he speaks truth. Call me the Christian Ben Shapiro. I also love Brett Cooper. I think she's awesome. Matt Walsh gets on my nerves sometimes, but I think he's awesome. So yeah, shout out to them. But it is a social contagion. That's what happens. And we see a lot of social contagions in the era of social media. I'll tell you another documentary y'all need to check out. It's called The Social Dilemma. It was out on Netflix a few years ago. And what it discussed was what social media is molding our humanity to. And all the people that were involved in the ground floor of this stuff, they brought them on for an interview. And a lot of them were like, oh, it's too late. We can't stop this. That's why I quit. It's over. And they're like, what do you mean it's too late? They're like, no, it's been started. It can't be stopped. It can't be stopped because we've created this thing. And I'm in college, as you guys know, and I was reading one of my books the other day, and it was interesting how it pointed out what technology is. See, the word tech comes from the Greek term that means art, or the Latin term that means art. So technology is actually a form of art. And when you think about what online is, it is art because we're presenting the image of ourselves that we want the world to see. And we're crafting our own version of our world that we want the world to see. You see, the version of you that's online is a crafted and formed version of you. You choose how you want to be presented. I choose what I want to upload. I choose what I want to say. It's all art online because we're just crafting what we want to see, what we want to be around. And it's not the same thing as reality, where you can't run from certain things, where you can't avoid certain things, where you have to address certain things. Think about that. Let's continue though.
Means that children are being exposed to these ideas, and it's certainly coming from institutions like the media, like Hollywood, like our public institutions and schools. So to say that that is not happening, or to deny that that is the reality, negates the numbers that we're seeing.
What I would say is that the idea that there is a single transgender movement and ideology is disingenuous, and that at its core, being transgender is about separating sex from sex role.
No, you know what? I'm going to answer this real question. Here goes the white cis. FYI, Bodhi Bacham once talked about a study on what the most hateful human being on the planet is. That one of these liberal groups have come to determine this. The most hateful group of humans on this planet are straight, white, male Christians. So by definition, no one's going to want to hear from me on that side. They're just not. I mean, I fit the box of everything they think is a bigot, right? But let me just give this straight cis Christian male's viewpoint on the reason why we have today's transgender movement. Back in the 90s, I remember when a boy did girl things, we said he's a girl. Oh, you act like a girl. You act like this. You like pink. You like Barbie. Same thing with the boys, right? And instead of addressing the fact that we have created generalizations and that the generalizations are wrong, we start thinking that God was wrong on our gender. Instead of just saying, maybe it's not girly to play with this, and maybe it's not boy to do this, and maybe women can do this, and maybe men can do this. Instead of saying that, it's saying, well, I must be in the wrong body. As I've said before, transgenderism also destroys feminism, because feminism was the original first wave feminism was about equality amongst us, but not in a sense that we're the same, but that we both have a certain level of value and that there's no difference between us. And it's not just because of a woman's breasts that make her a woman and her makeup that makes her a woman and what she dresses makes her a woman. But then the transgender movement comes around and they're saying, well, I feel like I want to wear these types of clothes. I want this kind of body. It's basically said what makes a woman is these physical things. That's why I want to do these things, because I'm a woman in my heart. See, what they're doing is, instead of fighting the fact that these generalizations are wrong, is they're trying to focus on the fact that I'm in the wrong body. My gender's wrong, not the generalizations. The truth of the matter is, we did handle those generalizations wrong in the 90s and the 80s. We shouldn't have made boys feel like they can't do things that are more feminine. We should never have made women feel like they can't do things that are more masculine. We shouldn't call a girl who does boyish things tomboy, right? And because I really believe the generations of doing this, of making it clear that only men do X, Y, and Z, and only women do A, B, and C. If a man wants to do A, B, and C, instead of questioning the norm and the generalization, they'd be like, well, I question my gender. I think that's the problem. I mean, look at these transgender women on this video. They're all dressed like women. So are you saying how you dress is what makes a woman?
And gender roles that are compulsory.
Do you think that children should be able to transition medically?
No.
I think
No.
it just really
Amen.
depends on.
And you know what? And I respect that. I respect when someone like this transgender gentleman is willing to say, no, children shouldn't. I want to hear this. Let's hear what they say.
On each individual situation, they should be able to make the best medical decision for them.
I am comfortable sharing bathrooms with the other side.
So for sake of time, I'm going to skip the bathroom conversation. Let me see what the next part of this is, because we're definitely, it's a lot here. Ooh, they talk about that for a while. What's this next one? The ability to give birth is a woman's greatest strength. Ooh, I want to hear this. Let's go back real quick. Hold on. I don't know about you guys.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
So the disagreeers are stepping forward first. So the question is, the ability to give birth is a woman's greatest strength, and they're all disagreeing. Okay, so let me go ahead and give my input real quick. Let me close that. Let me get on camera. I think people hear this, and some women don't want to admit this because they don't want to feel like I'm a human incubator. But I think it's denying the greatness that is giving birth, that God chose you to be a vessel to bring life into this world. How is that not the greatest thing you can do? Women, hear me clearly. This is not, if anything, this shows your strength. It shows how incredible you are, how incredible you're made. I could never carry a human for 9 months and give birth to it. That is the greatest strength that a woman has. Now, I get it. Some people probably push back against that because some women might not be capable of giving birth. And maybe that's what it is. They fear offending those women. But that's not anything taking away from them. We're just saying that you can't give birth, but you can still be a mother. You can still care for a child in need. You can still be a mother. So actually, I would go a step further and say the greatest thing that a woman can do is be a mother, because I think the greatest thing a man can do is be a father. Right. So maybe that's what we need to do. Take a step back from the giving birth part and say, be a father. Be a mother. Let me hear what they say. Because this is both sides of the party look like they're disagreeing with the statement.
I'm not able to have children. So I'm still strong. I'm funny.
Okay. Like I said, this person's incapable of having a child. So they're saying, I'm still strong. Now, I will say this, though. That is true. But if this is I can't tell because I don't know who's speaking, but there's some transgender people who are going to say, well, I can't have a child and I'm still a strong woman. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not a woman.
Physically strong. I'm smart and I have a lot of strength. I don't believe that having a baby is the greatest strength, because not all.
See, the problem is that when a woman can't have a baby, they think that it somehow tears them down. No, we're talking in general. So if we talk about in general women and in general men, then we can generalize. But if we're talking about individual men and individual women, then you're right. Everyone's different. So I would never say that individually, the greatest thing you can do as a woman is have a baby, because you might not be able to. But in general, that does not detract from the fact that in general, the greatest strength about being woman is that they can give life. In general. It doesn't take away from who you are as a woman, because you're still part of that group.
All of us count. I cannot have kids due to medical issues from a medical procedure that I had when I was younger. And it's a hard subject to talk about. And
here's the truth, and I'm not at all coming at this woman. I'm not. I hope you guys understand it. But what I see here is that she understands how hard the subject is to talk about, because it wouldn't be painful if it wasn't the greatest strength. That's why it's so painful for women when they find out they can't, because we do have a drive in us to procreate. Why do you think that hurts a woman so much when she knows she can't have a child? Again, that doesn't take away from your value, but just because you're incapable of it doesn't mean it's not the greatest thing that women do. Like it really is the greatest thing. It's giving life. Again, it's not tearing you down, because I truly believe that the women and men that are incapable of having babies were created by God to take care of orphans, because the Bible makes it very clear that orphans are called to be taken care of, and orphans need to be cared for, and so do widows. And there's lots of them out here. So I truly believe there are some incapable of having their own so that they can take care of them.
it doesn't mean I'm any less of a woman.
Yeah, you're not any less of a
But
woman.
can we get another question? I'm sorry.
But the reason why it's bothering her is because she knows how important it is. Like, so again, we don't just take away from the fact that we know it's important because we don't want to admit that we are incapable of it. There's things I'm incapable of doing.
I'm sorry.
One of the things that I regret was the fact that I would never be able to do that. But I was honored in the ability to participate it from the other side. Women are amazing. They don't just deal with that. So
While giving birth.
It's interesting that the guy who's born a man is saying that's one of the things he's going to regret. Let me move to a forward. We're running low on time. Let me see what this person right here. This person has been interesting. I'm looking to see what other subjects do they go to. They talk about this for a while. Oh, transgenders in sports. Let's do it. We're at 30 minutes, so we're going to end this here soon. Well, actually, I might cut this up and make 2 videos out of this, actually. So you know what? Yeah, we'll do that.
I do think that trans women have every right to compete in women's sports.
You know, if you would have asked me before this, if anyone's going to agree to this statement, who would it be? I would have pointed to this one.
Trans women are on hormones. The hormones break their body down. Having gender affirming surgery breaks down the body. And so I think we really need to be educated before we jump to a conclusion.
Yes, let's be educated. So a man has something running through his body called testosterone. So if I wait till I'm 18 to transition or 20, I've had 20 years of testosterone running through my body. Think about that. That means just because see what they try to point at is, look, they're on hormone blockers. It brings their current level testosterone down. Y'all ever noticed how many of here have been around their father when he's older and somehow he's just so strong still? And you're like, how is my dad so strong? How does he still? He doesn't even look that strong anymore. But what do we call it? The old man strength. Do you know what old man strength is for? It's for the fact that they've had testosterone pumping through their muscles, every fiber of their bones, all their life. This idea that just taking hormone blockers will suddenly bring a man down to a woman's level is mind-blowing. It's false. It's false. There's not a single case where men transition into women, don't dominate where they go, and then vice versa. How come we don't see any women transition into be men and just dominating? How come there's no UFC transgender man who once was a woman dominating? How come there's no a woman who used to be a man? Man that used to be a woman dominating in swimming or in football? Because no matter what, I don't care how much testosterone blockers you take. If you had 20, 25, 30 years of testosterone and different male hormones pumping through the fibers of your muscles, you're going to be different. We have a wider wingspan. Our lung capacity is different. Our endurance is different. Let's see what this person says.
That trans women are stronger than cis women in sports. Hi, everybody.
I find it interesting that you assume the people who disagree with you are uneducated, and I will speak out against that. I think the research shows that trans women do happen to have a biological advantage against biological women. Even though you are taking hormones, and that does start to change your body and level things out, we're talking about primarily people who have transitioned post-puberty, which means they do have male bone density, male wingspan, male hand size, feet size, lung capacity. All of these things are going against women.
And the church says amen.
Biological women, when trans women start to enter their spaces, their sports, and compete against them. And this is really concerning for me.
I think
Let me stop that there and just hop up here because this is 33 minutes long. So for today's episode, I'm going to be ending this portion of it before we dive into the next thing and say that I 100% agree with this. And this is the society that we're living in right now, where people are trying to ignore actual things that we understand and facts, and they claim you're uneducated. This is constantly what we see all the time from this movement, that if you disagree, you're uneducated, you're ignorant. It's a complete dismissal of you, not accepting that you may have a point, not accepting that you know what you're talking about. It's a complete dismissal of anything you say because you're ignorant, you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're dumb. And that is what we see constantly. And this image is constantly painted over and over and over. Why? because it ingrains this idea that when they see you, the first thing they think is they have nothing to contribute to this discussion. But guys, thank you for joining me so much. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell notification and come back and join us next time. I look forward to everything that we're going to keep doing on this page. God bless. No, I was doing that for the live. So we're going to keep going, guys. But remember, I told you I'm also recording this. I'm going to edit it and upload it in pieces, right? So get what I'm saying? Like, I can cut that now. So this whole live stream will be up on YouTube. But I'll be able to cut up the portions and upload it, right? So that was the purpose of me doing that, where I'm like talking to the camera and saying, thanks for joining, hit the subscribe button. I'll be able to edit that. We can keep going in this. And discuss it for a minute, because, yeah. Hey, is the sound synced and everything? So I'm using my phone as my camera because it's HD, so I should be a little clearer than normal. And do I sound fine? Cool. All right, guys. Yeah. This is really what y'all notice how free I get to be over here? I love it. I love it. I cannot wait to get everybody over here. I can't wait to be able to have 100 people over here. That's all I really care about, is maybe 50 to 60 people, because we can speak about anything over here. We could talk about it all. I want to talk about abortion. I want to talk about the transgender movements. I want to talk about feminism. I want to talk about politics, because as Christians, our biblical worldview should be incorporated into everything we discuss and live. The word of God is our daily bread. It is a part of our life every single day. And if we don't allow it to be a part of our life, and we actually have these divisions where we're like, okay, I'm a Christian over here, but today we're going to talk about this. So I'm looking forward to it. Plus, screw TikTok. They banned me and took 115,000 followers from me. And then I don't have access to my money. I don't have access to anything. I can't even log in on my computer. When I try to log in, at the login screen, it says your account is banned. When I log in on my phone, it brings up a big thing saying you're not allowed. So I can't even access my old DMs. That's crazy. That's crazy. But all right, let's see. Let's continue, guys. Oh, also, for anybody watching this live stream on repeat, because I'm going to leave the live streams in their fullness up here on this on YouTube. If you guys want to see me react to videos, please comment below. Not comment below if you're right now, but I'm saying comment below. Drop the link. DM me on Instagram. DM me on TikTok. You can follow me at TikTok at True Christian Ministry. It's right here somewhere. It's right there. Instagram, it's at Real Mike Pagano. We have a Discord server where we have Christian fellowship and Bible studies, and I want to react to these videos. I want to discuss these things. I want to dive deep into it. I'm ready to, I think the Lord let my page get taken from me so I can direct myself where I need to be. Because at the end of the day, I was doing a lot of TikTok stuff when I could have been on here doing a little bit deeper. A little bit deeper of a dive. Discord will be fine. Yeah. So yeah, we have a Discord on my link tree. In my link tree, there's a link to take you to the Discord server. We have over 500 members, and it's a place for encouragement, uplifting, Bible studies, prayer groups. Like, it's no debates. It's not this, YouTube and TikTok stuff. Let's continue with this video. Let's see what they said a little bit. And let's hear it for a second.
For me, it's not a question of whether or not trans women can compete in sports. It's a question of how can we change the institution of sports in this country to make it equitable and to create more opportunity for cis women, for trans women. And that's kind of why I wanted to actually ask you all, what has your relationship to sports been?
I don't think you have to have a direct relationship to sports to realize that women are being affected by this issue. And
Wait a minute. Here's my problem with this word equity. You know what equity means, right? Equality versus equity. So equality is equal opportunity. Equity is fairness, right? So what they're saying is it needs to be fair for transgenders as well. But the only way to make it fair for transgenders is to make it unfair for non-transgenders. But see, they don't actually care about that. They want equity on their side, but they don't want equity on your side. There's a reason why we have these divisions in sports. The reason why these divisions in sport exist is to keep it fair. Men should not be competing against women in combat sports or physical sports. We are a stronger vessel in the majority. And then people love to point out the ones and twos. Well, what about Ronda Rousey or something? There's a reason why, I forget the statistics. Steven Crowder used to bring it up a lot. There was a tennis player who was ranked like number 115 men's, and he beat Serena Williams. Because as a man ranked 115, he's still better than the best woman tennis player on the planet. Why? Better wingspan, better stride, better endurances. I mean, we're physically created a certain way. The fact that they want to erase that, it's just, I think the reason why we find so much issue having this conversation is because it's hard to take it serious. As I mentioned earlier, imagine if your son came downstairs for dinner and said, "Dad, I'm Batman," and you had to actually reason with him that he's not Batman. You would get frustrated. "Son, you're not Batman." No, I am, Dad. I'm a billionaire and a Cape Crusader at night. No, son, you're not. "No, but I am, Dad." Why do you think that, bud? Because I feel that way. Oh, go to bed. But we can't tell these people go to bed. So we have to actually entertain it. We actually have to go back and forth. I agree with Roger here, commenting in the box. I feel bad for the real women that have to deal with this. Recently, one of the swim team members of, y'all remember the man that won the swimming, Leah Thomas. One of the women spoke out recently. We can actually react to that video if you guys want to soon, saying how uncomfortable it was. And that in one race, she actually tied Leah Thomas, but they gave Leah the trophy. And she knows why, because if they would have given the real woman the trophy and not Leah, then it would have been like, "Oh, you're treating her differently, her." And then we also had information come out that Leah Thomas is like demonic, but neither here nor there. Let's see the direction of this conversation.
Do you reject the idea of equity? There is no way to come about an equality of outcome, which is what equity is saying. There's a reason that,
as I mentioned, equity is equality of outcome, which means if let's say I was preaching that I want equity in Christian content creators, that would mean that no matter how hard I work, I want the same amount of followers as the person who works harder than me, because how dare that person have more followers than me? You see, it doesn't matter if they worked harder. The question is, why don't I have the same thing that they have? Equality of outcome is not fair.
Women's sports are less funded and less watched than men's sports. It's because men seem to excel athletically, and they seem to press the bounds of athleticism way farther than women do. We now exist on a slippery slope. If it's female sports, is it then female locker rooms? Is it then female prisons, which we're now seeing becoming an issue here in California?
Let's see what the next question is real quick.
And this is not a binary question. There's a lot of nuances involved.
I just want to ask a question for what you were saying. Can you throw out some statistics?
I don't think you need to have so there's an abundance of research. There's even trans activists who agree with exactly what I'm saying. And your hormones can change, right? And even she just spoke to the fact that
Have to unpack.
I want to see the next question. Let's go to the next question. Come on.
Dib and dab and other.
They stay on this question the whole time.
You know, because that dysphoria was there and every single.
All right, let's look at this. This will be the last question we look at.
Again, when we judge people's personal relationship with God, gender identity, sexual orientation, none of that matters to a God that loves all.
Oh, stop. I didn't even mean to come here, but let's talk about it. I love when people say what God should do, what God should be like, and it's all based on what's inside their head. The word of God declares who God is, and they say, no. They always say, if there's a God, he wouldn't care about that. That's what they say. Wait a minute. So you're saying the God that designs everything wouldn't care that you reject his design? Is that what you're saying? That the God of the universe, who designed everything the way he wanted to design everything, he wouldn't care that I reject his design. He wouldn't care that I reject how he has placed everything to be in order. It blows my mind when people say that. And then you notice how she said, all of us are children of God. Let me be very clear to the people that have not followed me for long. 1 John makes it very clear that we are not all children of God. In fact, John chapter 1 says that Jesus gave us all the right to become children of God, to be adopted as children of God. Galatians 3:26 says, through Christ Jesus, we become children of God. First John makes it clear that all those that are living in sin and hate their brothers and practicing sin and standing against God are not children of God, but children of Satan. In fact, Jesus says this to the Pharisees. Remember, he says, you are of your father, the devil. I didn't mean to stop on this, but let's see what she's saying real quick. Or he, I don't even know anymore.
Gender dysphoria is real.
I think it is obviously real because many people experience it, but like any kind of dysphoria, whether it's someone who thinks they're overweight or anything, I think it should be treated as not reality. Like if I thought I was obese, I wouldn't want to go to a affirming therapist to tell me, yes, you are obese and you should, get skinnier.
I think that's a great point that she brings up, because imagine if we did that with all other mental conditions. Imagine, so I deal with anxiety. What if every time I talk to my therapist, I was like, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart, the world's falling apart, and they were to say, you're right, it absolutely is, you're correct. How dangerous would that be? Same thing with what she just said. Imagine if she went to a doctor and she said, I'm obese, I'm fat, and then she's tiny, but the doctor was like, all right, well, we need to get you on a diet because you said it's true. We don't affirm what someone's dealing with in their head if it's not in reality. If it's not reality, then you need to take them to reality.
Well, I had the opportunity of working on the DSM-4, I think it was, when we actually declassified transgender dysphoria from a mental illness to a condition. I had been, at that point in time, I'd been cross-dressing for 50 years. And, because that dysphoria was there and every single thing I did to try to drive it away didn't work. I spent millions of dollars trying to be the coolest dude in the world.
Pay attention to something. I mentioned it at the beginning of this live stream, that the real problem, the crux of it all, is that they have an issue with who they are, our identity. And you see, this is a lot of this is people want to deal with the shallow issue. And we see this problem with everything, whether mental depression and anxiety or even their faith. We see a cut on our arm and we just want to put a Band-Aid on it. But sometimes there's still something inside the cut. You got to get in there and get the bullet out. You got to get in there and get the needle out, or whatever is causing a cancerous issue down there, or cancerous, venomous. And the problem is, you heard him say that he searched out trying to find this comfort, this identity. And that's the answer of it, is people are constantly doing this. And how does this all start? You see, the Satan has been playing a chess game for a while, setting things up. It starts in the 60s. If you actually do some history research, guys, here, if you dive back into the 60s, you start seeing his plan unfold. You see no fault divorces. Right. So, hey, this covenant of marriage thing that we used to keep really serious, whatever, you can break it. It's no fault divorces. Welfare state, the rise of single motherhood, abortions, removing God from school. All of this happened around 1967 to 1969. Why is all of that happening at the same time? Because you got people that don't care about the order of the marriage anymore, that don't believe in a God. If we teach kids that there is no God, there's nothing. Ultimately, the purpose of life is just to do your best and enjoy it to your best. You're going to end up in the dirt at the end, no matter what. Like you're on a random ball spinning thousands of miles an hour in a big empty universe that's also moving constantly. There's no value. And then people try to seek value. Where do I find value? I find it in a hobby. I find it in feeling good with sex or drugs. I find it in my gender. I find it in my family. I find it in my wife. I find it in my dogs. I find it everywhere except where it belongs. You see, value is determined by what someone's willing to spend on it. And Christ died for you. He spent his blood for you. Your value is dependent on him. Because if he's not there, if he doesn't pay the price for you, you have no value. Nobody can give you value outside of God. You see, if I invented shoes, the value is based on what I wanted the value to be. I create it, and then I list it at a price, and then people pay for it. God is the definer of value. God is the definer of who we are. It is his structure. It is his order, and people hate this because they don't want to give up that authority to God. They don't want to give God his place and his rightful due. They want to say, oh, no, 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 no. If there is a God, he would do X, Y, and Z based on their own mind. See, God created man in his image, but then man turns around and tries to make God in our image. And that's the problem. That's the truest problem there is.
You know, I bought airplanes, I bought everything that I could to just show the world how masculine I was. It didn't work. It didn't go away. And
so trying to find his masculinity in objects, he failed. And because he couldn't find it in objects, he changed his gender. When the truth is, he could have found his masculinity in Christ to realize what it means to be a father, to be a husband, to be a man of God. Likewise, women, you will find your femininity in God. You will find what he has designed you for in his word. You will know who you are based on what he tells you you are.
And I did therapy. I purposely went to a therapist that was anti-gender affirming. And literally he said, you need to do this, you know, and because it was so deep-seated. Spent 6 weeks as Gina with my son. And at the end of that period of time, he asked two very, very warm.
Should have went to a hospital to be able to afford some of these things as well. Me coming up at the age of 20, and I knew I had a serious gender dysphoria, I did things to my body that I should have went to a hospital to do. That is something that's very, very hard for people to understand. A lot of us can.
So what this person is basically telling me is because they dealt with some mental issues that caused them to do things to their body on their own accord, we should let kids go to hospitals to do it so they don't do it on their own. This is the same argument of saying, let's just make heroin legal because people are going to shoot up in a dark alleyway anyway, so let's make sure they shoot up properly. Women are going to abort their babies anyway, so let's make sure we help them abort their babies. You might as well say, if you really want to be honest about this logic, that would be like having a place where men can come and indulge in their grape fantasies. I don't know the algorithm here, so I'm going to say grape. Like, oh, well, they're going to do it anyway, so let's just have a woman tied up in this building and offer men that opportunity. That's what you're saying. Am I wrong? Did I go too far? It always sounds terrible when we go down that route, but what else are you saying here? That we need to indulge in things because people are going to do it anyway. People are going to do it anyway. The abortion argument. People are going to do it anyway, right? So let's make it easy. Let's make it safe. Just saying.
It's suicide because of gender dysphoria. And so it hits our community a lot harder.
I do think gender dysphoria is very much real. I think the issue that's happened, especially in the space of science and research, is that we've looked at gender dysphoria and said the only source of care that we can go through is blind gender affirmation care. And a lot of the research shows that this is not the route to go into. In other countries that have decided to do nonpartisan research, Sweden, Finland, have decided that yes, gender affirmation care should be an option, but it really should be the last resort when it comes to treating people who appear at clinics with gender dysphoria. You know, a lot of conservatives will deny and say, well, gender affirmation care does not make them happier. And in many cases, that is true. But there are the cases like yourselves where the gender affirmation care does make them happier.
See, I gotta disagree there, and this is near the end of the video, so whatever, we'll end the video there. But you don't know that it's made them happier. They don't seem happier to me. They don't seem happier. It just because someone says they're happier doesn't mean that they're existing in happiness and that by doing that to these children is going to somehow make things better. It's completely wrong. It's completely wrong. But guys, I'm gonna end that video. Well, I'm not gonna end the live yet. We're gonna end in a little bit, but I'm gonna end this video, watching that video now, because I don't know which direction how much longer it's got until it's over. But there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. I appreciate you guys coming over here to YouTube, by the way. Make sure that you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, and you hit the bell too to get notifications. We are going to be definitely doing this more often. In fact, you might not even see me on TikTok as much because when I get free time, I definitely want to come down here and do this. But if you guys haven't noticed, I posted a video recently on TikTok that I just kind of let it be known. I rebuked Ryan Foley again. And I wanted to ignore him, and I couldn't. So you all know I got banned on my main account, 115,000 followers gone. And the first thing that pops up on my backup account when I switch back to it is Ryan Foley's video, which he originally had me blocked, but my backup account wasn't blocked. So his video pops up, and he's telling someone that their son, who committed self-ending at the age of 16, is in hell. I beg you guys, if you follow that man, stop following him. Go watch the video if you don't know what I'm talking about. I don't need to go deeper into it, but that is crazy to tell someone that their kid is in hell. You don't know that. There's so many people on the on YouTube, on TikTok. They know everything about everything. It's mind blowing. But yeah, guys. What if anybody wants this at the end of my lives? I'm always going to do also like interaction with the commenters and things like that. We're also going to be since we're live right now, let me just give you guys a heads up of some things that we're planning. The guy that does my graphics has come to me with an idea of a series of questions for Christians. And if you haven't noticed, I posted a video on YouTube asking people to submit their questions on TikTok. And we're going to start answering these questions. And then he wants to put together a website. Man, let me just tell you right now, this guy's awesome. He's helped me with my graphics. He's helped me with my designs for my merchandise. Link in the bio, in case you're not aware. And now he wants to help me with a website. And I told him, I said, man, you've done so much. And he said, it's okay. He said, it'd be just as much hard work for you, but he wants to be a part of this ministry. So amen. Hallelujah. And honestly, maybe one day I'll come across someone who wants to be a part of the ministry and does really good with video editing and producing. And then we could just be a team, graphics guy, video guy, and the speaking guy. So I've got great big plans for the direction of this page. You guys are here early, but just know that I really see a lot of great things coming. We're going to have a series on Christians answering questions, right? Those questions that you're scared to ask, those questions that as a Christian, you might feel like someone might judge your faith. You can send them to me anonymously. Send me questions in my email. Send me questions and I'm going to get a Linktree thing open where people can send me emails. I want people to be able to ask questions that they're scared to ask questions that someone might call you, oh, you're a dummy if you don't know that. And I'll answer it, and I'll answer it proudly for you because I love you and I don't want you to have confusion. So we want to do that for sure. Being early for once, but I appreciate you guys that are here for sure. Yeah, we got anybody in the comment section that have any questions or anything they wanted to bring up right now before we head out of here soon? Because I'm about to end it here in a moment. Nope. All right, guys. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and pray us out of here. And I'm going to say, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come together and just enjoy this fellowship and discuss things going on in this world. And I ask you to help us stay grounded in your word so that your word may prevail and it may keep us straight and focused on the mission. And I pray for everyone in this live stream and pray for everyone that has followed me. And I pray that you are with them and you guide them. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Awesome, guys. Hey, appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, hit that bell, and we'll definitely be seeing each other a lot more often, hopefully. And I'll catch you all later. God bless.